Welcome to our latest Meet the Manager. Usual style, format for us. Throw your questions out. We've got a microphone here. You can pass amongst yourselves. It's soft, it won't hurt you if you lob it and you hit somebody with it. So if you want to stand up, tell us your name, ask your question. Keep it short and sweet if you would, and we'll crack on. Who wants to go first? Nobody, let's go home.
Okay. Good evening, Ian. Welcome, Ian. Hi, Dale. Injuries. So when we've been to these forums previously, we've, I think, unanimously patted ourselves on the back that we've had a reasonable run of luck with injuries over 4 or 5 seasons probably, and when we have had somebody injured, we've not had another 6 injured at the same time. Alex, what's happening? What's changed?
Yeah, that's a really good question, one that we're asking every day. I think that some injuries are unlucky and some that you have to look a little bit deeper into, so certainly soft tissue injuries you look a little bit deeper into, like the training and the lead up to that. I think it's fair to say we've had quite a big turnover of players. So when you have a turnover of players, you have a lot of players that are at different points. When they come in, we had some that come towards the end of the window, some that came through the pre-season. Some that, even if you look at the squad from last season, many of the players played a lot of football, like Jamil Matt. He came back and in the first pre-season game against Wolves, it was his knee. So Dokes, Jordan Moore-Taylor, of course Matty Stevens back end of last season, and then even some of the players that left. Nicky Cadden started the season injured, Ebu Adams is injured, Kane Wilson is injured, so I think there was high demands in terms of volume of game at the back end of last season. We've obviously picked up that this season. We had 1 or 2 that was impact injury, like Bailey Cargill in Papa John's, and a few where I thought that we were a little bit unlucky, a couple of concussions and things like that. But I felt like a lot of them have come from players in a similar position, so we haven't had so many injuries with the midfielders, only really Reece Brown. A lot of the defenders picked up knocks early on, which left us a little bit unbalanced. So yeah, it's been a really frustrating period. I don't think there's any one factor. There's probably a few, but it's certainly an area that we want to try to get the players recovered. The ones that are out, Dokes had surgery and is on his way back. Matty Stevens is making really good progress now. He's maybe a couple of weeks ahead of schedule, so we're hoping to see him back in training, maybe with the team within about 4 weeks. So, yeah, which we're all very happy about.
And Geordie?
Geordie, small op today actually, so he's 4 weeks. So he had like a hernia type thing. So yeah, it's frustrating, some overuse. And of course, for all of these players, many of them have stepped up a level in terms of intensity, in terms of the demands of the match, in terms of the volume of the games. So there's a lot of factors, I think, but hopefully we can work with the players that we've got, learn a few lessons and make sure that back end of the last season, this season, we don't get the same problems again.
Thank you.
Good run. Next, please.
Is Geordie 4 weeks from today, Ian?
You're breaking all the rules. You're not stood up, you're not telling us your name, come on.
That's a yellow card there. You have to catch it though. Solid.
Yeah, Ben. And is Geordie 4 weeks from today, or?
Yeah, we hope so.
Okay.
So that was from today. So we hope 4 weeks back from today. So we've been pushing him to be honest, and got to a point where he was struggling a little bit through the games, and we could see that. But we also recognised that this month was a month where we have 2 league games. We know we've got the cup, which is really important.
Yeah, sure.
But there's only 2 league games, so it was maybe, if we had to do it, this was the best opportunity to get it. Otherwise, we were pushing him through and constantly managing him, and it's quite a challenge for both him and us then.
Yeah, for sure. And on Saturday, are you looking to pick a full strength side, or are you looking at changes? And not to give it away too much,
no.
But
there'll be some changes, but not. We have to respect the game and the fact that these FA Cup games, believe me, they're always. Even when I was abroad and with the top league team, playing lower league opposition, especially away from home, always a challenge, really big challenge. So we really have to respect the opposition with the team that we pick, but at the same time, there's a few players that are really hungry that I think also can benefit from being introduced into the team.
Sure.
Okay, next. Down here, please, if you can get it there.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Hi, question for Ian. My name's Richard. We've leaked more goals than anyone else in the league except Burton, who's scored 5 more. A lot of them from headers. I'm a bit bemused why we seem obsessed with continuing to play a back 3 and we don't set ourselves up with a back 4, particularly on away matches. Any particular reason why? I mean, we've had Oliver Casey sat on the bench for a couple of matches. I think he's done really well for us this year. Him and Marquez make a reasonable pair in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know that a back 4 would prevent headed goals necessarily, as 3 centre halves probably gives you more coverage inside the box. But last season the team had a lot of success with the back 3. The team was recruited and built for back 3 with wing backs. So when we play a back 4, we don't have natural width with wingers. So like we played Accrington here, we played with a back 4, but we had to play like a diamond midfield and 2. I thought that we did well defensively in the game, but in attack we struggled to get out a little bit. So I think Oliver Casey did really well when he first came in, but like many young players, I think that he had a difficult couple of games, and sometimes you need to take a break. I felt like he needed to take a break out of there. Christian Marquez has done good, Bailey Cargill's come back and done well. Of course, Jordan Moore-Taylor does well. We do look more stable when Geordie plays in the middle with his experience. So we've missed him when he's not there. But yeah, what we found at this level, just in general, defensively, is that we can do okay in games. We can do okay in games like the first 30 minutes of Peterborough away. I thought we looked really stable defensively, but we can get punished on a set piece or a great goal by Johnson Clark-Harris. And at this level now that we've stepped up to, the minute that you're not quite marking in the box or the space opens, you get punished much harder than probably how we did last season. But I don't necessarily think it's a system issue. It's just defensive principle issue, really.
Well, can I come back to you on that one? Because the last third of last season we had relegation form, and we didn't. And a lot of us would say that's because we didn't change anything. And the impression this year is again we won't change anything, even if we keep losing.
I can't say about last season really,
No.
but this season we have changed a few times. We have played back 4. We played back 4 against Exeter and we conceded 4 and looked extremely open and vulnerable. We played a 4 against Accrington and the Diamond. We played back 3-3-4-3 like we did against Lincoln. We changed in game to 4-3-3. So I think we've had some flexibility, but yeah, I think that the team is generally, it got promoted and won a title playing a back 3 last year. Many of the players are well versed in that, and the team was generally recruited for a back 3, so that has been what we've leaned towards more often than not as our go-to system.
I'm really sorry, if anyone's got a white MG that's parked right outside the doors, your lights are on.
All right, next question, please. Unless you've got a white MG. Oh, yes.
I have to stand up.
Yeah, please.
Steve Irving. Over the last couple of seasons, we have tended to play in such a way that we have a lot of possession, sometimes 60% possession against the other team, but a lot of that possession is in our own half. And it doesn't seem to be a good way to play. Mark tended to play that way. We moved away a little bit last season, but we seem to be back into it again. And also, I was taught at school we shouldn't pass across our own penalty area. We do it all the time. Last week or the week before, we had a goal kick. He kicked it to the full back. he lost the ball. Within about 3 kicks, we had a corner against us. I mean, it just seems, why the hell don't we get rid of the ball? And the other thing is, if we don't get it into the penalty area, how do we score? And we're not getting it into the penalty area. You know, if we do, then there's a chance it could be a knock-on, but if it's not there, and we didn't have many shots last game, did we?
No, we didn't.
So that's
No, we
the
didn't.
whole, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I got it. Yeah, I know my dad used to tell me don't pass it in front of your own goal, but I think some coaches changed the dynamic of football a little bit. Guys like, I don't know, Guardiola, and they did okay with passing the ball from the back, and I'm not saying that we should try to be Manchester City, but we should treat the players and teach them to be brave. We should want to try and have the ball. I think we should be a team that is brave enough to have the ball, and it should start from the back. We've done our numbers, and the most amount of breakthroughs into the final third that we've had this season have come as a direct result of short build-up rather than kicking it long. More often than not, when we've kicked it long this season, we've lost either the first or the second ball, which means that we're giving the ball straight back to teams in this league, teams that have more superior players to what we've ever faced before. So giving the ball back cheaply to teams that have really good players is a dangerous tactic. I think being better at having the ball is a good defensive tactic also. So I actually think we need to improve what we're trying to do rather than move away from it. So we should continue to be brave, continue to try and play, continue to try and pass the ball short and quick. And I agree, when we get into the final third, I think we should deliver the ball into the box more. The second goal against us in the last game came as denying an opportunity to put the ball in the box, and we got counter-attacked. So I absolutely agree that when we get to the final third now, we need to be more clinical, we need to be braver to put more bodies into the box and try to score more goals. But I definitely don't think it will come just as a result of kicking the ball away up the pitch. I think we've got to continue with trying to be brave, trying to pass short, trying to play that we want to play, but just get better at it. And sometimes you have to suffer a bit of pain and fail in order to get it right, and it doesn't get right straight away.
Thank you.
Should we take
Guy just behind you.
Hello, David Hatch. When you're able at the end of the when you come to the transfer window, if you have any wriggle room at all, where would you look to strengthen? Obviously, we're not scoring as many goals as we'd like, and I just feel we got a lot of young players now, which I think some are probably going to go on and have a good career, but I just feel at times that they're not necessarily getting the encouragement that they need. And sometimes I wonder if we lack a leader on the pitch. But I say certainly at the moment the lack of goals, as you know, is obviously a concern. Thank you.
Yeah, really good question. Agree. I think the loss of Jamil Matt and Matty Stevens for the majority of the, well, Matty for the whole of the season so far, and Jamil Matt, you take away a lot of goals that were scored from last season. So hopefully Matty is coming back. That is hopefully like a new sign in attack for us that can contribute. He's a fantastic lad. Like, even just to have now around us on the training pitches, he's starting to come out and take his steps on the pitch. You feel like he's a really good influence around the place. So he's a leader and he can score goals. So that ticks a couple of boxes, hopefully, not putting too much pressure on him. But you're right, we have a very young team. I think the team that we went out and played away at Fleetwood averaged 22 years old, and it's young. We should be proud to have a young team. I think it's great that this club has an identity that we want to recruit young players, develop talent, and it's a good blueprint for the football club. But at the same time, you're 100% correct. Leaders are not easy to find in the game, actually. They're not easy to find, those sort of characters, but if we can find one or two that can help on the pitch with the young players, I think it would help us immensely. So that is certainly something that I think in the next window we look to identify those characteristics within the, and that doesn't mean old players either, because you can be 24 and be a great leader, so it's just to have the right characteristics of the players that come in, I think.
Thank you. Just before I pass it over, just for you, Dale, I'm not even going to ask you this time about the ground.
I appreciate that, but actually I got something to say about it now. But I'm not going to say it because you didn't ask. What you got?
Hi guys, I'm Steve. What it was, Ian, I just wanted to ask from a defending point of view again, really, from set pieces, really, more than anything else. Seems like we're sort of part zonal, part man mark, but seem to have conceded a lot of goals, Portsmouth, Port Vale, all from set pieces. And also, we tend to always bring everybody back in the box. Against Portsmouth, they've still got 3 defenders there. I'm just wondering, you know, is that something that you've decided to do, for what reason, and really, do you think from set pieces that we're doing enough, and whether the part zonal's working really?
I would say that our net score for set pieces, we're in positive. So we've scored more set pieces than we've conceded across the board this season. So we're net plus in terms of set pieces. But of course we can be better to defend them. You're right, we do part zonal, part man mark. I've done it in different ways before. I think that you can do full zone, but I don't think we have the size to do full zone at the moment, so we try to man mark a little bit. Again, I'll probably go to the fact that the delivery at this level is another step up, and sometimes the delivery is outstanding. But yeah, we can certainly do it better. The bringing everybody back is, I would say it's fairly common. You can still counter-attack from that point, you just have the counter-attack points a little bit deeper. Sometimes when you leave 2 or 3 players up, you actually kill the space that you want to counter into. So we try to bring players back. And I always think, try to defend the set piece before we think about the next phase. So yeah, I mean, every team, every fan event I've been to, every team normally, and even things that I watch, people normally think that they can do better on set pieces, because you invariably, I think, around 40-50% of goals are scored from set pieces. So most teams think when they concede that volume that they need to be better at it. I'd say, I think we've done okay attacking them, actually. I think our last 3 goals were all set pieces.
It's defending really.
But defending for sure. There's still some area for improvement.
Just the last thing, are you finding yourself moving up to this level really? Because I've done non-league football and moved up a couple of pyramids, and it can be very challenging, obviously. And I just wondered, are you finding it really?
Yeah, it's a challenge, without a doubt. It's a challenge. I would say that, of course, before I worked at Notts County, that was National League, so it's in terms of the teams that you play against, a big step up. It's more similar to what I was doing in Scandinavia. So I'd say coming up against Malmo and AIK, Hammarby, Rosenborg, Molde, Bodo Glimt, big teams in Scandinavia, it's more similar to what I've been used to out there tactically, crowds, quality of players, so quite similar to what I experienced when I was abroad. But I would say it's, of course, a step up from the National League, without a doubt.
Can we take some questions from social media?
Yeah, we can.
One for Ian from Owen says, with Connor Wickham's contract running out, will you talk to him about a new deal?
No, I won't, no. Yeah, of course I'm going to talk to Connor about a new deal. Yeah. Yes, I will. We are. Connor's a fantastic boy, by the way. He seems to be enjoying his football. I think we've got him playing, which he hasn't played regularly for a few years, consistently like this, and he's scoring goals and he smiles every day. So he's got a lovely smile. So then maybe I think we have a good chance. So we work with that, but yeah, I will do. Don't worry. Yeah.
You've mentioned about Matty Stevens returning to training. We've got a question of when he could be back on the pitch playing.
We're hoping by the first week of January. So I think that talking to him today, 3 to 4 weeks from being back training with the team, so maybe training with the team early December, then he probably needs another 4 weeks, I would say. So I saw him when I first came in, and it's tough when you've got that sort of an injury, because you do a lot of training by yourself and mentally it's quite demanding. But I can see him, he's come out of the other side now and he's starting to be around the lads, and I think he's making good progress.
Question, I guess, for both of you is, was enough done in the summer to hold on to our best players before bigger clubs came in?
Yeah, you do that one.
Give me a go here. I think we did. We did all that we could possibly do, and when players want to go, I think you have to let them go, especially when they've got a great opportunity to step up, and that's just the way it is.
We've had lots of questions over the last couple of days about the director of football, when we announced an appointment just before the event. Do you want to speak a little bit about that, Dale?
Yeah, I'll do that. So we lost our director of football to Portsmouth at their second attempt a few weeks ago now. The second illegitimate attempt. They broke the rules again when they did it. Approached Rich before they approached the club. I'm just saying that, so putting it out there. I won't stop saying that. And we've got a new recruit in the building, actually. Stevie, do you want to stand up and give us a wave? Hi. Nice one. So Stevie joins us from the Scottish Prem. He's going to be our head of recruitment and performance. And we're all very excited to have him with us. Did the press release go out today? Yeah? So yeah, check social media, check the website, you'll read a bit more about it there.
Another one, Dale, from Owen says, will there ever be a roof for the away fans?
Never. Oh no, seriously, it's not worth building. I've got nothing against away fans, but it's not worth building because we won't be here that much longer.
All right, we'll just go for one more before we go back to the floor. It says, in the FGR documentary, you said that we take players and move them on in their career. At what point do we focus on signing long-term players?
I'm not sure those were my exact words, I don't recognise them, but what we don't do is stand in anybody's way, and I think that's good for us as a club, actually, that we're seen by other players, that they can come here, get an opportunity, show what they're capable of, and get a good move. That's good for us, so, and then talent comes here because, they know there's an open door to move on. I don't see that as harmful for our club. I think keeping somebody that doesn't want to be here doesn't make any sense, and it's just not something that we do. Right. Over to the green box, and you, I'm guessing.
No, it's actually you. I think you're dying to tell us what's happening on the ground there.
Yeah, come on. I dropped it in there, didn't I? But not because I'm dying to tell you. It's moving on, definitely. We've got outline consent. We had that a few years ago. We're in the local plan review now, which what the council have done is stick the site into their own local plan. It's going to be in front of an inspector. It was going to be in the autumn, it's now going to be in the spring. When it gets approved, which is quite likely, then it just becomes more cemented. We've got about 30 conditions to deal with the outline consent, and then actually we can build it. We don't have to go back for planning. One of the biggest ones is the detailed design of the stadium itself, and we're about to start work on that in about a month. It's an expensive piece of work. We didn't want to do it until we had to. I think that by next summer, we'll have a buildable permission for the stadium. We could start work if we were ready to, in all other respects. We've got permission for 2 grass pitches, finally, for the training ground. It only took a year to get permission for 2 grass pitches on a grass field. Right, so that's how hard planning is. Now we've decided they're in the wrong place. We've just got to reorientate them 90 degrees, and we're hoping the council will say that's not a big deal, but you never know. And we're about to design the training ground from scratch. Just take a fresh approach at it, and go out and get some expert input into what a championship level training facility should look like. And then we'll put that into planning, and I'm hoping that we'll start at least on those first 2 pitches in the early part of the new year. So the training ground and the stadium, they're kind of both moving along. I think we might start work on the stadium, maybe 2 years from now. So that's it. Don't all be excited.
I thought that would get a round of applause, to be fair.
We've only been doing it for 10 years, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? I can understand the fatigue.
Richard, hi. Welcome in. If I can still say that in November. One of the players we saw a little bit of in the season was Sean Robertson. Certainly the Papa John's games, he seemed to make quite a difference when he came on the pitch. I wasn't sure. We've not seen him too much recently. I know he's probably suffering from being in the same position as Corey O'Keefe, one of our best players. But has he been injured, or is he still?
Yeah, he was injured before the Papa John's game against Newport. So I think he played the first one against Southampton, did really well. Played the Carabao against Brighton, and then picked up an Achilles injury. Just nothing major, but kept him just sidelined for a couple of weeks. He missed the Newport game. And I think you're right, Corey O'Keefe's done great. I think he's played some really strong games and developing well. So it's a little bit hard. We've kind of got like Don Bernard, who we know can cover both centre-half and that side. And Carl McAllister can kind of play a bit anywhere, really. But he's so versatile that kind of gives us that coverage in that position on the bench. So Sean's doing well. Again, a really young lad that's come in. He came in from Palace, had never played senior first team football, not even out on a loan before. So he's a player that we knew when we brought in was kind of coming in behind Corey, but just to push him and be there in training and see how he develops through the year. And certainly he's doing good things in training, so he's not far away, but I just think with the quality that Corey's playing with at the moment, he's not quite there.
All right, who wants to box next?
Hi, I'm Neil. Can I just ask about sort of expectations and if you think back to sort of our moves from the conference up into the League Two, it's been huge jumps and we've all been delighted to survive. And I just feel collectively that we've perhaps got too big expectations in League One. And I suppose that links to budget in January and what the aspirations are for the rest of the season.
What's the actual question there?
Well, really, do you feel as though the club as a whole has got too high expectations as a result of last season?
Well, I don't think so myself. Certainly my expectations haven't been too high. I think maybe amongst the fans to a degree in some places there's been a bit of higher expectation and therefore disappointment at where we are now. I think surviving this first year in League One would be a good outcome. Find our feet and then move on. That's what we did in League Two, if you remember. Maybe some people were imagining we could do more than that, having won the League Two last year. It's possible, but I don't think everybody does. I don't think a lot of people in this room feel that way. So as always, it's a mixed bag of opinion. But as a club, we don't have overly high expectations. We're very realistic.
Got 2 or 3 players who are obviously very, very promising, and it can't be that easy when you're 18, 19, 20, when you're playing in, effectively a losing team. But I think Miles, Kurt Harris, and young Harvey Bunker coming in, it's amazing how good they look at their age. They look like 25-year-olds, with a lot of gains behind them. But I guess half the problem is keeping enough of the really experienced players fit, and that's what really seems to be hitting us at the moment. We're losing our most experienced players, so the youngsters don't have too many of those, around them.
Totally agree. I think that we've put a lot of trust. Harvey Bunker's been training so well. Came through our academy, and to be able to put him out on the pitch against Portsmouth to make his Football League starting debut is putting a lot of trust in a young player, and I thought he did brilliantly. Against Fleetwood, and actually I thought he was one of our better players against Barnsley at the weekend. So one thing I'll say about the young lads is they're quite fearless with how they play. Miles Pert Harris, but of course they will make mistakes and they're learning, and for some of them, I think Christian Marquez, Harvey Bunker, Miles Pert Harris, I think all of these are on their first loans and first taste of senior football, and they're coming into a team where it's generally young in a tough league, so we're putting a lot of demands on them. But the idea is that we do suffer a little bit at the moment, and we know that, but we keep developing them, keep working with them, and they get better as the year goes on, and they'll grow as people and as football players as a result of this experience. So hopefully that's why we're trying to put the trust in the young ones.
Cool. Who's got the box right now? Okay.
Bill, good evening. Ian, I've learned more about your thoughts on the game and indeed the background of the playing staff this evening than in all the interviews you've done for the website. Is there any way in which you can communicate more information through the interviews that you do? Or can we get the interviewer to ginger up the questions a bit so that we get more information? It's all rather anodyne at the moment.
I disagree with that myself. I think his post-match interviews are really good. I think he's short and to the point, you know, and he tells you it as it is. That's how I read it. But that's fair. I just said you've got a different opinion.
There's a lot of background information.
Well, that's what this event is for, to be fair. Post-game, post-match interview is not a place to get into a lot of background, is it?
But there are interviews on the website that aren't necessarily post-match. Or maybe there should be other interviews so that this information can...
But then there'd be no point coming tonight, would there?
I would say, just on that from me, like, typically at the moment, it's... most of the press output is pre-match presser and post-match presser, and I can't ask the newspapers to ask me certain questions, but it's a little unusual to do that for press conferences. I can only answer the questions I'm given. Sometimes on pre-match presses you have to be a little secure with what you're saying because you're about to play opponents, and I don't want to give them too much information. And post-match is always a difficult. You try to be as honest as you can. Definitely when you lose you can't please everybody, but I have to just try and say the game how I see it and be honest with it. I'm absolutely sure we got Laurie here, who is starting and it's fantastic, and we've talked about social media output and behind the scenes stuff around the training ground, so Laurie's gonna get a bit more of that out there, so you see us in our natural environment more, so you can see us not always post-match me looking sad.
All right, who wants the box next?
Hi, Phil. Just a response really, rather than a question, to the gentleman that just asked that previous question. There's a couple of our fans in New York called Nathan and Shimmy, and they do a podcast every week which is accessible through social media, and they usually interview a player, and 2 or 3 weeks ago they interviewed Ian for about 50 minutes or an hour with an amazing number of very incisive questions, and Ian, like tonight, answered very honestly and openly, talked about tactics, the team, players, so I'd really recommend that you listen to that, not necessarily every week, but look back at the one 2 or 3 weeks ago. Heaven's Devils podcast. I don't know whether anybody else can tell him how to find it or locate it.
Google will find it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is brilliant, and the two really enthusiastic fans. It's very light-hearted, but it's highly recommended.
Thank you.
All right, who we got next?
It'd be good to go for some social media.
Yeah, go for it.
We'll start off with one for Ian, which said, how much influence did you have in the summer recruitment, Ian?
I mean, yeah, of course I had influence in it. Some of the recruitment was well underway prior to me coming in. That's normal. The team, you plan recruitment windows a long while in advance, so some things were already rolling. So, and of course some of the signings we worked together on. So, yeah, I have some influence, but not all of it. It's a team effort.
Hold on a second, let's get another. It says, one of our weaknesses defensively this season seems to be closing people down on the edge of the box. Has this been caused by injuries, or do we expect to tighten up as the season progresses?
No, I don't think that's a result of injuries. That's, yeah, I said it before about getting better pressure on the ball in and around the box. That's just a defensive strategy that we need to improve at. Yeah, we're trying to do that.
Okay, I think that's good for social media for the minute.
You got one there, Henry? No. Cool. All right, who's got a box? Who's got the box, please? Yeah.
Hi, I am Wojtek from Poland. I don't like private question, but I will give you because I started to be a supporter since I heard that there's club which is helping vegan movement. So this question I think is a correct one. Do you eat meat?
I say dziękuję.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I thought a little bit Polish there. When I'm at the club, no. If I'm honest, but when I'm at home, I have my own diet that I follow with the family. But I follow everything that we do with the club. When I'm working with the club, when we're at the training ground, when we're here. By the way, the food here is unbelievable, and it's been really good actually to just explore a different way of living, a different diet, a different lifestyle. So it's been interesting to do that.
Okay, thank you. Can I give a small comment? Is it possible?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, fine. So, so sorry for my English because I'm still learning, but I would like to tell you that I think for international supporters, this is really important thing because I'm not local. Maybe actually I'm local. But before I lived in Poland, later in Iceland, I was streaming the FGR matches, and I think we glue it because of the values of the club. And like our chairman and coaches, you are on the top, we are watching you. And for us, I think it's really important what you are doing. For me, personally, it's more important score which you have on the plate instead match. Maybe for you, because you are local, you are supporting this club since maybe before the wins. But really for our movement, it's important what you are doing in your private, what kind of example you are giving. So I think, because I heard, for example, from from Rob, he was always enthusiastic of our diet, and a lot of players, they are coming here and they are telling us that it's really important thing, and they love this, but later they forget, in my opinion. I could come after last match, in last season, I asked Ebo Adams, my favorite player. I had in his t-shirt on my profile, on the FGR, and I asked him, because I'm really involved to football as well. And I asked him how many, could you recommend me any diet? Because I would like give this diet for my players. And to be honest, he told me that he's eating meat, and not a lot of players that are eating vegan or vegetarian. They have this kind of diet in private life. And for me, it was really frustrating thing, because I come here just because these values, you know. So at the end, we have on our website that we are vegan, first vegan club in the world. But if we are losing this identity in our staff as well, I think we'll not push the values. They are really important. I think this is the reason why our club is growing. I think we have more supporters outside of the UK than in Nice or somewhere. This is our chance. And not money, not the huge industrial money background. I think our chance is what kind of beliefs we have. So I would like just give you this information that for me is really important. So please think about this as well. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate your comment and your outstanding English also. But what I would say is that lifestyle changes for anybody take time, and they're quite significant things. What's important is that the club has strong moral values, that it sticks to the moral values, that it educates the players and the people that are in the staff, the supporters, the players here. When they arrive at the club, they are being educated in a different way of looking at things. So you cannot change it like that. It takes time for everybody, but it's important that there are incremental small changes that are happening with everybody that try to make a difference. I think that's an important thing. If you don't change everything straight away all at once, that people are making some important changes within their life, which I think many of the players and the staff do that when they get in. So I do think that's an important message.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just chip in there. You've got to bear in mind that we can't tell players what to do in their own time, any more than we can tell fans what to do in their own time, or staff. So everybody that comes here, that eats here, eats according to our principles, and that gives them an insight into that world. It gives them literally a taste of that way of living. And you know, our way is not to dictate or preach to people, it's to show people what it looks like, and in this case what it tastes like, and to hope that influences them when they go home. And we see it working. Lots of fans tell me they've gone veg and vegan. As Ian says, every season a couple of our players go vegan full-time in their own lives because they feel what it's like to have it in training, in their training day food and post-match food and that kind of stuff. And so I think the best we can do is put it out there, give people a chance to try it, and then let them make their own minds up.
Yeah, but still, if you... okay, I understand.
Thank you.
You know, it's like, I believe that we have this kind of club because you are like this. If our values with our life, they are not connected, we are wasting our time.
No, I don't think we are. I think we're setting an example, and we're giving access to an awful lot of people that wouldn't have had access to this way of life and this kind of food, and we're giving people a chance to try it for themselves. So I don't think we're wasting our time at all. We're seeing food change in the leagues around us as well. Vegan options are coming all over the place. Away fans come here, they go back to their club and they say, why can't we have food like that? And you know, I go to away games and away boardrooms, and you know, vegan options are becoming normal now. You go back a few years, they were nowhere to be seen. So I don't think we're wasting our time at all. We're making change.
It's just about hold our staff as well. Because if from staff values that are really important, they are glued to them, we'll not lose them in the future. Because they are not going to take a bigger money or do a career, because values, I think they are more important than this kind of choices, you know.
Well,
there's our chance for be a coach in the long term as well, in my opinion.
we won't lose our values, not while I'm here. So that's just the way it is. Now we're here doing our best. I think we're changing the world of football.
Yeah.
All right, who's got the box?
Hello, I'm Alan, and I'm wondering why we got problems with the away fans at the home end.
What are you talking about exactly?
Well, when we've got a Saturday home match, there's always 3 or 4 away fans in our end, which cause a bit of an attitude. And the stewards do nothing about it when I go to approach them.
Well, we do our very best to keep away fans out of the home end, but there's a limit to what we can do. And I don't know why the stewards won't take them out on a match day, but I would imagine that they might be sensitive to causing trouble. Henry? No, he's just agreeing with me. He's not saying he'll take the question.
So if I cause a problem then, do I get chucked out?
Well, I think, yes, I'm going to say yes. If you cause a problem, you're going to get chucked out, yeah.
No, that's the wrong way of attitude, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure the stewards are more flexible than that, and they're going to warn you first, right? But you shouldn't come here to cause trouble. You're not saying you will, are you? I think I might be confused by your question. All right, who wants the box?
Tony Anhuri, could you tell us, Ian, what morale is like in the dressing room?
Probably as you'd expect. Like anything, it's a little bit dependent on result and performance. We try to come away from that and try to keep consistent, but that's the hardest thing to do, is not get too down when you lose a game. I would say, like, following the Portsmouth and the Fleetwood game, the morale was fantastic. It was a little flatter today when the players came in, but we had a really good training session, and once we get that training session done, I think that they're feeling good. They are a genuinely really good group of lads that want to do well. So they come in every day and they work extremely hard. They're sociable together. They're a positive group of players. Not too many issues disciplinary for me. Maybe they're too nice at times, but morale is good. But like everything, probably like the fans and like me, we're a little bit more down when we lose a game. But we're trying to stay consistent with the morale, of course.
Next, please.
Yes. Hi, it's Mike. A couple of things. Firstly, if you had your own way, where do you think we need to strengthen in January?
I hope I have my own way.
Dale said he will be Father Christmas for you.
I think we said it before. There's, of course, we want to strengthen in all areas of the pitch and put competition in all areas of the pitch. I know it's a bit cop-outy, but we do. But it's more the characteristics that I think that we need. We said before that we have some really promising young players and maybe a little bit of experience, leadership, guidance on the pitch. So in what form that comes depends on what's available. So I think there's, as much as positions that we're looking at, I think also the characteristics of the people that we bring in January, considering that we're going to be fighting to stay in the division, the characteristics and maybe experience of that path are going to be quite important.
I'm guessing Steve is going to have a say on that as well, but I'm guessing with how well we've done with Scottish players, the last couple of Scottish players we brought down, hopefully that's a market that we're going to be looking into quite strongly.
No pressure, Stevie.
Yeah, no pressure, Stevie. But the two guys that come down from Scotland have done well for us.
Yeah.
Just one more quick question. We've been probably critical and told you what we think. What do you need from us as fans? Because there are small pockets at the moment that will always be negative, Nigel. There's a massive realisation that we're playing at a very, very good standard now. You know, there isn't a bad team in the league apart from Bristol Rovers, in my opinion. I didn't say Cheltenham. I said Bristol Rovers because we keep beating them. But what do you need from us, Ian? Because I do feel that sometimes we're very quick to get on players' backs, young players' backs, that actually need us to probably get behind them more than anything. I guess I'm answering my own question a little bit, but what do you need from us as fans that takes you and the boys to the next level? I think we had it last year quite well. Obviously it's very easy when you're winning, but what do you need from us? I guess we want you to tell us what you need from us.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it is difficult. Like, I've felt it probably. We started the season quite well, but then we had the run of games, the Morecambe, Burton, Exeter, that was tough. After that, I felt it myself. You can hear it. It's tough. And the players hear it. It's not easy. It's part of the game. Like, we have to take criticism. If we're not good, I'm in a job where I expect it. The players are in jobs that they're gonna get it. Like, social media can be cruel. That's why I'm not on it. And thankfully, but the players are on it, and they probably read too much at times. We have to deal with criticism. That's part of the job. But we just hope that everybody understands that everybody's doing their best. We are really working hard every day, and we want the best for the football club. So even if it's not perfect, just keep getting behind us, because like we had the game Bolton and we had the game Portsmouth here, where I really thought we gave good account of ourselves against top teams, and we just felt a difference in the crowd. The difference in the atmosphere made a difference to us on the pitch. And if the first 20 minutes of the game aren't perfect, there's another 70 to go, and I think we're all in it together. So the more we can stick together, the better.
Sorry, just to lead on from what you said there. It seems that we seem to get ourselves up a little bit more for the tougher games. Is that experience, or is that just a natural thing that players, for example, Bolton, Portsmouth, I couldn't agree more. I think we played probably two of our, even Ipswich, we gave really great accounts of ourselves, but the teams that we think we should be winning, we don't seem to put them to the sword like maybe we would hope. Is that an experience thing, do you think?
I think it's a pressure thing. I think some of the best games we've played this season in terms of complete freedom have been in the Papa John's, where we've just kind of gone away from the stress of the league, where the demands are so high, and we've put our shoulders down and played with the freedom. I think when we play the bigger teams, we sense that we are such big underdogs that we play with a freedom and a fearlessness. But because we have less to lose, and we have to change that mindset and approach every game like that. And that's what we're working with. But we understandably feel the weight of expectation and pressure higher in the games where there's an expectation we should win. And then we play a little bit more inhibited, I think. So we have to find a way to become freer in those games, I think. And of course, the crowd expectation and everything, it all comes into it. So I want to try and get the players feeling less pressure and playing with the freedom, because I think we look better like that. And we certainly do against the bigger clubs, so to speak.
Yep, that all makes sense. And just to say, we have put aside a pretty decent sum of money for January, and with Stevie in the building now, and Ian in that, we'll have ourselves a recruitment list, before January comes. Hopefully we'll have done some deals from very early in the window, and it's got a complete focus. So it's a great opportunity for us to make the changes we think we need to make. So we will. And I don't understand why fans get on the back of the manager or the players or the club. I really don't understand it, because for me, we're all a team. And in any team situation, if you've got negative people undermining you when things don't go right, and things always don't go right, it doesn't help you. It does the opposite, it hinders you, right? It's not a 12th man anymore, is it? So I don't understand why people do that. Who has the box, please?
Hi there, I'm John. I guess, Ian, maybe it was an evening you maybe weren't looking forward to with every cell in your body, so I'd like to say I'm mightily impressed with the answers tonight, so thank you very much for that. But I have a question for Dale. I tried last time, I'm going to ask you a different question this time. And I've read your book Manifesto, and I did enjoy it, and I recognise you're a very principled person. And you've mentioned a couple of times, again tonight, about this question of approaches to people. So could you just explain what the process is supposed to be? In principle, what sort of happened, without giving too much details, and how could it be improved or policed or made better for the future for everybody?
Yeah, a pleasure, actually. The rules are really simple. You have to approach a club before you approach a member of that club, whether it's a player or a staff member, and you have to ask for permission to speak to them, and you have to get that permission in writing. That's the rules. 23B or something like that is the number of the rule. If you don't do that, you're in breach. Portsmouth did it twice. Approached our staff member and then came to us and said, we want to talk to your staff member. So it's just a clear breach. Watford were the same. And when we went out to recruit for Richard's replacement, we did it the right way. We went to Cheltenham, for example, so we could speak to their guy. We spoke to a whole bunch of other clubs, and they were decent about it. They gave us permission, we had a conversation, we put them in the mix, and then we chose the guy that we wanted. It's not hard to do it the right way. It's frustrating when clubs don't do it the right way, but I think it's become normal in football. So the way to stop it, I think, is just to keep calling it out, which is what we keep doing, and saying that's not right, and follow the rules, guys, because it's destabilising if people are having conversations with your people behind your back mid-season, and that's what the rule is there for. So
But there's no approach that anybody can apply apart from demonstrating the way you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a complaint to the EFL and go through that process, but I tend to think that the court of public opinion is a bigger weapon, so we call it out there.
Thank you.
Who's next, please?
Hi, I'm Les. I'm just going to say one word with a question mark behind it. Referees.
How long have you got? Yeah, not my favourite subject. It's a difficult job, and I try, and I think that I do quite a good job at being pretty respectful. I think it's important to try and be that as a manager, but I don't feel quite like we've had all the margins our way. I sense when we're at a big club, without a doubt, and we're Little Forest Green going to a big club, and I can, with a big crowd, and I sense that there's a natural sway. That's not me being bitter, but I genuinely think that we maybe don't quite get the rub of the green. But I always say that I think that I'd hope it would. Port Vale away, the penalty, things like this, like there's some, I think there's, we've had a few calls against us that have cost us, and maybe we'd have a few more points and it'd look slightly better. But I've always said that we keep doing the right things, we keep working in the right way, and I hope that we get them back at some point during the season, and maybe we get a little bit lucky. But at the moment, I don't feel like we quite get it.
I totally agree, and I'd also say that perhaps it may be a good idea for the negative fans, instead of getting on the players' back, to get on the referees' back.
I agree.
Yeah, no harm in that. Who wants the box now? Ooh, we might be done. No.
Steve Early. I think I've said this before at one of these meetings, but actually, first of all, we are very honoured to support a unique club in this country. It seems to me we're talking about veganism and things. I can't remember before Dale took over and we became vegan, there was much talk at all about veganism. I don't think there was. And Dale has done a lot for us. And something else he did, apparently, some time ago, was he had a special recording of Jerusalem made. And a year or so ago, about 2:45 every week, this recording was played, Jerusalem. Now, we haven't got a song, you know, Rovers have got Irene Goodnight, Liverpool have got When You Walk Alone, West Ham have got I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, for heaven's sake. Jerusalem is a good song, and it actually seems to sum up our whole being. Green and pleasant land, dark satanic mills, and all the rest of it. It's a good, and I'd like to hear it every week at home at 2:45. So could somebody arrange that, please?
Yeah, look, thanks for that.
I have got a CD. If people aren't, we can play it now.
It's actually on iTunes as well. And thanks for that. I think it's the perfect song for us, and we've been playing it for years actually, or trying to play it.
Not recently.
No, every now and then I just have to nag the DJ, usually through Henry, and say, WTF, right? Why aren't we playing this song? Because it's our song. And the walkout music is a small edit of that, a little clip of that.
Which is normally played when they're sort of halfway onto the pitch.
I know. That's Tell me about
technical,
it. Yeah, we have to get better in that respect. But look, it's a great song, and thank you for that. So we'll take it back to the DJ and say, come on, just make this happen. I love the song. It's got David Gilmour in it, although I'm not allowed to tell you that. It's got the Liverpool Gospel Choir. It's got all kinds of people in it. And it's a brilliant song. Thank you. All right, who's next, please?
Reg, one thing that I would like to see being encouraged, the youngsters really that support this club, I'm talking about the young people, and the way that you try to encourage them in various ways too, with the shirts and just the way in which we're attracting the young people here. What is missing at the moment is the way in which, at the end of the match, we don't see the players coming to the side and thanking the kids in various ways for coming, because whether they've had a good game, lost or won or whatever have you, if they came to the side and just thanked them for coming in whatever way, just support, just coming to the side, the youngsters will come down and look to the players. They might want to offer for a signature or whatever have you, but just seeing them come to the side is a great way of getting the youngsters again involved and appreciating the club. And likewise, there was one game just recently that you turned and thanked the crowd too. And I think that is a good way, again, of the crowd thanking you for your way in which you were appreciating the crowd too. And I think, again, it's the response is both ways. And we're in the club together, both the youngsters, the adults, the players, the manager, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for that. I think, of course, sometimes at the end, especially after a loss, the players' disappointment is visible. Yeah. But I agree, we should always try to do that for the fans. We do appreciate it. Yeah. I think in every game I've tried to go to the fans. The only time, or once when I didn't, was the Burton away. But it was anyone that was there maybe understands why I didn't go across to the fans that day. There was a few being held back from security, so I thought maybe I'd step away from that situation that day, but normally I do go across and show my appreciation.
Well, during the match, it would be good to see you actually, when you see the heads of the players dropping, to see you actually giving them a little encouragement too. That would be good for us to give.
Get your hands out of your pockets.
A response to.
I've heard they don't take your hands out of your pockets a couple of times, but I can assure you the players get, during the week and the match days, pre-match, they get a lot of encouragement from me. I'm certainly not a player, a coach that is killing players for mistakes.
I'm saying the supporters.
Oh, for sure.
In it.
Yeah, but
that's the sort of satisfaction of seeing you actually encouraging the players.
Yeah, but one thing I will say is that I don't put a show on just for the fans. I do the things that I think are the right things that the players need, and I will do what I think is the right thing for the players. So I know sometimes the fans will perceive, I've said this before, fans perceive passion as screaming and shouting on the touchline. I perceive it as long hours away from our family all through the week so that we can try to get a result on the Saturday and putting everything I can into the team. That's my passion. So I totally understand, but we do, I can promise you, myself, Doyle, the coaching staff, we give the players as much as we can in terms of encouragement and belief.
Yeah, nice one. Can I just say, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but in the East Stand anyway, the kids that are coming to watch games, they're starting all the chants. You notice that? Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, sitting next to us.
Sorry. Come on, don't be like that. It's a football match.
Sorry, it's me again. I just thought of something as we were going along. We talked about strength of character, and I feel that sometimes throughout the season, a lot of teams have done quite well with tactical fouls against us, stopping us counter-attacking, breaking the ball down. I sometimes think that some of the players don't quite take one for the team early enough, and we maybe commit the foul we're too nice. We're a little bit too nice at times.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. Like, I think we have to sometimes be better positioned when we lose the ball to be able to create those fouls. Sometimes when we've lost the ball, we've been too open. When you're too open, it's actually hard to make those fouls. We have to be closer to the ball to be able to do it. So sometimes I feel like we lose a bit of structure. When we lose structure and lose the ball, we look really vulnerable. And then when you end up taking those fouls, they're closer to our box, and that's why we get the yellow cards. So you're right, we can be better at that. But it's less about being nice and more about being better positioned, I think, really. Because we definitely have a few that don't mind kicking people. We just have to get them in the right position to do it.
All right, who's next, please?
Cheers, mate. Yeah, Miles Part-Harris, he's only with us till January, I believe. Are we optimistic about keeping him? Have we got an arrangement with Brentford to extend the loan?
Yeah. We can have till the end of the season. There is a break clause though, but that's the same in every loan. All the loans will have an option to break in January with the club. So a lot will depend on game time, minutes, how they feel he's developing. So that's normal, a normal thing. But yeah, absolutely. I think we have the possibility to go further with Miles. He's doing well, young lad, really talented, and I think he's enjoying playing. Like when I spoke to him before he came, one of the things he said was he'd been at Chelsea, then he was at Brentford, but the key for him was the next step had to get some trust and play some football, and I think he's done that. So for sure, I think he's happy.
Yeah, for sure. And just on Conor Wickham as well, like I know you mentioned it earlier, but are we optimistic about him staying as well? Or
I am because I see him every day and I see that he's enjoying his football, and I think he's been right at the very top. I think we know that, but you can't underestimate the importance of enjoying what you do every day when you come in. That's really important, and I can see that he does. So I'm hoping that he does, but at the same time, Conor is scoring goals, and scoring goals is hot property.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm also conscious of that. So, but we're certainly going to work hard for that.
Sure. Cheers, Ian.
Thanks.
Hi, just a quick one, Ian. Are any of the loan players cup tied, or are they all available for Saturday?
No, they're all available, yeah.
Great,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
How are we doing? Oh, one here, no, one there too.
Yeah, it's Alan Grant. Can we hope for a better shots on goal ratio than we've been seeing recently?
Of course
Yes.
we can.
Yes.
That's what hope is for, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Who's next?
Yes.
One for you, Dale. I'm expecting a very short answer.
Is that my style?
At the start of the season, we had this road closure. The question is, why was it tried, and being it only happened once, was it viewed a failure?
I think it's happened more than once, and I think it's come and gone according to circumstances, like the size of the club visiting us, for example. Most recently there were roadworks at the bottom of the hill, so we didn't want to compound that with a road closure. But when we do it to better manage the flow of traffic in and out of the stadium, particularly after the game out of the stadium. With the road closed, we get fans away better. So it's something that we've chosen to do that we think works, but it doesn't work in every circumstance. Any more?
Yeah, it's just a question on facilities in the South Stand. Is there any chance that we could sort of maybe speed up the queue a bit? I know it's like space is limited. Have you got any more thoughts on potentially doing something there? You can say no.
What I'll tell you first is that it's always been a problem, and space is the problem. Having enough equipment and enough people to be able to serve the queue faster. And we look at it all the time, not just the south, but the north and the concourse as well. I don't think there's a lot of scope there because of the way it's been built. We'd have to build a bigger facility there. So essentially that's a no.
Yeah,
I don't think we can do much more, but we are trying. Are we done, people? Yep.
Hi, it's Kath. I just wanted to ask, I often experience problems when I'm trying to buy tickets online on the online ticketing system. Sorry, this is to Dale. Is that being looked at, and are you aware of the issue? That it's when I sign in, I go into tickets, and it says, there's tickets for certain matches, and then you go in, and then it says none available, when you know they are for sale. And then you sort of go in 4 or 5 times, and then eventually something happens, and it sometimes works. Or I phone up.
Henry's got the mic. I think he's going to talk to you about this one.
Thank you.
Good work. Good working. I'll answer it in short, but have a chat with either Paula or Justine after, just double check. But some of it is an API issue. We had the system built specifically for ourselves with VMS and our website. Most of the time we're not getting as many problems at the moment from what I hear, but on individual basis we are still getting some issues, but they're different for each user. So the best thing to do is basically just let us know what your account is and we can look into the problem.
Do you know how to get in touch with Paula or somebody here at the club?
I can show you, Paula's at the back of the room, so I'll speak to you after.
Cool. Any more questions? All right, let's call it a night. Listen, I just want to say this. I think I'm really grateful to him for coming here tonight, giving up his time. I think he's given us a whole bunch of really straight answers. I think he talks sense. I've liked everything that he said. I like the questions as well. I want to thank you all for coming, and see you this time next year.
Thank you.